Hello my dear friends, I am Corey and let's talk about the new edition of Warhammer 40k. Everybody's talking about it, everybody is hyped about it. The new edition, the 10th edition of Warhammer 40k is almost upon us. The announcement has been made, everybody's getting crazy, and I also want to jump on the hype train and talk about what we will get, what I hope we will get in this new edition of Warhammer 40k, giving you my wish list. I'm making this video also because I want to know your opinions, your suggestion, what you think we will see in this new edition of Warhammer 40k. I'm very curious and interested for what about to come. So this is my wish list from two perspectives. The rule perspective, which is something that I am not an expert of, but there are still some things that I hope will change with this new edition, and also a hobby painting and building perspective, which is the one that I am more close to. I think of myself more of a painter than an actual gamer, and I'm also a better painter than a gamer, if I have to be honest. So let's start. So I would like to start with the rules and what I hope will arrive with this new edition. First thing is the codex and the rules being free, not only from the start, but for the entire 10th edition and also the next one. Now, Games Workshop thankfully have announced that all the rules for every faction will be free with, I think, PDFs. Basically, you can get rules online for the new edition, which is a good thing because otherwise some faction would have to be left behind instead of others, namely Space Marine and maybe other 2 or 3, I guess, which is not a good thing actually. So it is great that they are releasing free rules for all the factions so that everybody can already start playing this new edition. But nothing guarantees us that the codex system as we know it as it is right now for the current edition wouldn't become a thing again in the future. So what I wish for is for the rule to be free and the codex to still exist, but not as rulebook, but as lore, illustrations, and also a painted miniatures gallery. And also how to paint this miniature with tutorials and stuff like this. Hey, Corey from the future here. While I was working on this video, I decided to read one more time the Warhammer community article about the free rules and the codex, and guess what? While I was filming, I completely forgot about the fact that Games Workshop already said that the free rules are a temporary thing. Codex in book format, as we know them today, will eventually come back in the future with this new edition. So I already said something wrong in this video and I have to do this little segment in order to not look like a complete buffoon. I'm tired. Okay, let's just jump to the next point, all right? Number 2, reduce the stratagem and command point system or completely removed it. I don't like the stratagem and command point system, namely because it is a bloated mess of a thing that I don't enjoy using. I don't like to have to scroll like a fourth of a rulebook to look for that specific stratagem for my specific faction, for that specific unit, to use in that specific moment that maybe will be useful once. Please, let's remove the command point and stratagem system. I don't enjoy it in the slightest. Unless you are a professional tournament player, you will never ever learn all the stratagem and all the units and all the stratagem for those specific units. I don't do that. I have a concentration span of a couch. I don't remember all the things and I don't really care to learn all of the stratagem. Just create a single or at least at maximum 2 stratagem per unit specific for that unit that you can only use for that unit only. Write it on the datasheet and that's it. because I don't want to buy an entire deck of cards, and I don't want to scroll all the pages of a rulebook to look for a specific stratagem that I might use in that specific moment. It is a bloated, useless system. I don't like it. So please, let's hope that at least this system will change. I also already heard that they are going to change it and make it more easy to understand. Let's just hope that it's true. Point number 3, let's change the turn sequence. I hate with every single cell of my body how the turn sequence work. I don't like to look at my opponent moving the entire army, shooting with the entire army, charging with the entire army, do everything with his or her entire army, and I have to stay there looking at his army, her army, doing everything that my opponents want to do, and being hopeless and almost not reacting to what my opponent is doing. And I don't really like switching side. I don't want to do everything because I will feel pressure to do the thing as quick as I can, because I don't like to waste time. I just want to have fun. So instead, what I hope for the new edition is to have a turn sequence similar or basically the same as Warlords of Erewhon or Bolt Action. The system for this new game works like this. Basically, you and your opponent have an amount of dice equal to the amount of units that compose your armies. You take those dice, put them into a bag, and then you just pick a dice at random from this bag. And if it is one of your dice, then you get to do something with one of your units, moving, shooting, whatever. Or if it is one of your opponent's dice, then your opponents have to do things with one of his unit, and so on and so on and so on. And it is such a fun and incredibly entertaining system to move your game forward. I mean, it's not fun to move and to do everything with your entire army. It's not fun to look at your opponent doing everything with its entire army. This system is more, in my opinion, fun, strategically interesting. Also, it keeps you concentrated onto the game and makes the game very, very fast if you know what you're doing. And it's also very easy to understand as a concept. So I hope for this new edition to have a system more like this one. I don't think we will get it, but I really hope for it. If at least not in this new edition, at least one of the future editions after this one is just more fun, in my opinion. Alright, now let's dive into the building and painting part of the hobby, the one that I prefer, to be honest. Next thing that I wish for, simpler models. Now, I'm so happy that a lot of units and a lot of faction are getting new sculpt, new miniatures. This is great. But I'm seeing a trend that I don't really like, which is overloading the miniatures with useless details that don't add anything to the models, if not frustration because you have then to paint those details. I would like the model to be more simple, to be more easy to paint. I wish for something like that, but I know what you might think. If you remove a lot of details from the models, then those models might look less interesting, which I say no, that's not true. I told you more than once that I love Oatswo miniatures, Burrows and Badgers models. Why? Because those models are extremely easy to paint, but are not overloaded with details, and yet are full of character and have a lot of personality to them. This is what I would like the new miniatures in the future will be. Easy to paint for beginners, but basically a white canvas for more expert painters to do a lot of things, a lot of freehanding, adding a lot of details, converting those models, because also keep in mind, less details, less things onto the models mean that those models are going to be very easy to convert. So this is a win-win for everybody. This is what I wish for new models. With this new edition, with the refresh of all of the units in all of the factions. Just make it simple for us, alright? And last thing that I wish with this new edition from a painting and building perspective, more Xenos and demons and less humans. Now, this is a very subjective thing, but let's be honest with ourselves. It is objectively clear that humans, Space Marines specifically, but generally the entire humanity, get a lot of models, a lot of love from Games Workshop, which is okay. I'm not saying to just ignore completely humans faction. Space Marine, Custodes, Sisters of Battles, even the Imperial Guard, which is my favorite human faction. I'm not saying to just ignore them, but since we are starting over with the rules and everything else, let's focus more onto Xenos, aliens, demons, chaos, something that it's not just the Imperium of Man. Please, I am tired of seeing all of these Space Marine units being released constantly. Not only because I don't like Space Marine, but just because Space Marine have so many units, so many models, so many different units and models to build and paint with their specific rules. It is just a mess. Let's just calm down with Space Marine and humanity in general and focus more onto Xenos, which is something that Games Workshop is already doing, because from the trailer that we have seen, Tyranids are going to have a huge model refreshing, which is amazing. I can't wait to start a Tyranid army, because it is also a Xenos race that I really like. Let's keep this trend going. Let's focus a lot with the Xenos races. Let's give a lot of love to the Xenos races. I cannot stress this enough. Xenos player, I am also a Xenos player basically. With the Leagues of Votann, Games Workshop have done such a great thing, because it looks human, but it is a Xenos race, and you can do a lot of things with them. They are so interesting, I love them. Also the Eldar and the Tyranids now. Just focus more onto Xenos, let's give them more love. This will be a good thing for everybody, not only for the Xenos player, because then also the Space Marine and Imperium players will also get interested into these new armies, and they are going to buy a lot of models also for the Xenos faction. Let's just give them a lot of love, please. Alright my friends, this was my wish list for the new edition of Warhammer 40k. Let me know down in the comments what you think about my little wish list, and let me know what you wish for with this new edition. I've seen a lot of people talking about this, and I'm really interested in to know what you think. And if you like this video, well, click the like button and subscribe if you want to see more videos in the future. I am planning to do more tutorials, or at least painting videos. It's just that I don't have a lot of time at the moment to do that, but I will try. I have some things that I want to do in the near future. In the meantime, I hope to see you the next time. If you want, also go down in the description. There are a couple of links, my Instagram, and a way to support me if you want. And I think that's it. This is the end of the video. So, I am Corey, and I hope to see you next time, my friends. Ciao, ciao.